The cabin lights were dim, that soft golden tone airlines use to signal that the world has slowed down somewhere between departure and destination. Outside, there was nothing but darkness and sky. The engines hummed with the gentle, constant vibration that feels almost like silence once you've been in the air long enough. Most passengers were asleep, or somewhere close to sleep, settling into that suspended quiet that only exists on long flights. In one of the middle rows, a traveler shifted their legs slightly, trying to ease the pressure that had built slowly over hours of sitting. It was the kind of small discomfort we tell ourselves to ignore, the kind that seems temporary. But the heaviness in the lower leg didn't fade. It deepened. The calf felt tight. The knee felt strangely locked in place. The pressure built gradually until it felt like the leg no longer belonged fully to the body. The aisle was blocked. People were sleeping. The moment felt inconvenient, so the traveler stayed still a little longer, hoping the sensation would pass. It didn't. A flight attendant approached calmly when the call light was pressed, her voice soft and steady. A doctor on board examined the traveler carefully. The outcome was not dramatic, but it was serious. Deep vein thrombosis, not caused by illness, not caused by turbulence, caused by time, stillness, posture, and seat position. What is most unsettling is not how rare this is, it's how familiar the situation is. Many of us have sat exactly this way, believing stillness is harmless. Before we continue, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from, and what time is it where you are right now? And if you appreciate Travel Explained, clearly and honestly for travelers 40 and older, consider subscribing. It genuinely makes a difference. Flying feels different when we are 40 and older. Not because something is wrong with us, but because our bodies simply speak more clearly. The circulation we once took for granted now responds differently to stillness. Muscles that once remained loose now hold tension longer. Hydration levels shift more quickly. Recovery takes more time, not because of age as weakness, but age as reality. Inside an airplane, the body is placed in a set of conditions that highlight these changes. The cabin is pressurized to simulate a high-altitude environment, usually between 6,000 and 8,000 feet above sea level. At that altitude, oxygen saturation in the blood decreases slightly. We are not aware of this consciously. We breathe normally, we sit normally, we think normally, but the heart works harder to maintain equilibrium. Muscles tire a bit faster. Tissue receives slightly less oxygen. It is subtle, but real. Then there is moisture. The cabin air is extremely dry, often less than 20% humidity. Simply by sitting and breathing, we lose hydration steadily. When we are younger, the body compensates easily and quickly. But after 40, hydration affects circulation, energy, and muscle tone much more directly. A slightly dehydrated muscle stiffens more quickly, and a stiff muscle restricts blood flow. Add stillness to this condition. When seated in a confined space, especially with a sharp bend at the knee, the blood in the lower leg has to work harder to return to the heart. At sea level, with regular movement, this is not an issue, but at altitude, with reduced oxygen and reduced hydration, this slow circulation becomes more noticeable. Then comes the factor no traveler controls. Airplane seats are smaller than they used to be. Seat pitch, the measurement between one seat and the next, has gradually decreased on many commercial aircraft. Legroom is tighter. Seat width is narrower. The space available to shift, adjust, or extend the legs has steadily shrunk. Meanwhile, the average traveler is taller, broader, and older than the cabins were originally optimized for. There is a mismatch, not between age and travel, but between bodies and spaces. Many travelers 40 and older describe the same experience after a flight. The walk through the terminal feels a little heavier. The first steps feel stiff. The lower back feels tight. The legs feel swollen or restless. Sleep that night is less restorative, not because the flight was difficult, but because the body was still for longer than it should have been. The real issue isn't discomfort. It's accumulated stillness in a space that limits natural movement. The seat you choose determines how easily your body can move without effort, and that difference becomes more meaningful every year we live in our bodies. On a long-haul flight across the Pacific, a traveler chose the window seat. The decision felt thoughtful. The window seat offers privacy, a sense of being tucked away. the ability to lean against the wall and drift into sleep. For the first couple of hours, everything was fine. A movie played softly. A meal passed quickly. The cabin darkened into that shared nighttime of cruising altitude. But the window seat asks something of the body: stillness. To get up, the traveler must ask others to move. To stretch, they must negotiate space. So they wait, telling themselves they will get up later. Time passed quietly. The temperature near the window grew cooler. Cabin walls sit only inches from outside air that can reach negative temperatures. The air felt harmless, even refreshing. But the muscles in the hip and thigh slowly tightened. The calf felt heavy. The ankle stiffened. None of this felt urgent. It simply felt uncomfortable. When the plane landed, the traveler stood and felt a deep, dragging heaviness in the leg, as if it had been left behind. Walking through the airport, the body felt unfamiliar. Recovery didn't happen instantly. It took time. On another flight, a traveler sat near the rear of the aircraft. The vibration there was subtle but constant. The body worked harder, without awareness, to remain stable. The lower back stiffened over hours, not minutes. When the plane landed, there was a sharp reminder waiting in the joints and spine. Not injury, but consequence. No one warns us about these moments because they are quiet. They don't look dramatic. They don't feel like emergencies. They feel like aging, but they are not aging. They are environment plus posture plus time acting together. The body remembers what the seat demands. The inside of an airplane feels still, self-contained, and quiet. But there is far more happening in the cabin than we consciously feel. The environment is controlled, regulated, engineered for safety and efficiency, not for how the human body prefers to exist. Especially not the body of someone 40 and older, who has learned the subtle language of discomfort, tension, and recovery in a way younger travelers have not yet encountered. Even before the plane takes off, the conditions influencing your body begin. The air in the cabin is a blend of fresh oxygen and recycled air, pressurized and circulated in a vertical loop. Fresh air enters from overhead, travels downward, and exits near the floor. But that cycle does not distribute evenly across every seat. The window seat, for example, is often exposed to cooler air because the plane's exterior is freezing cold at altitude. The cabin wall, though insulated, still radiates a faint chill. Cooler air around the leg and hip means the muscles tighten more easily. Tight muscles do not stretch well, and stiff muscles restrict circulation. By contrast, the aisle is warmer, with slightly more air movement. You may not feel that difference as a sensation, but your body reacts to it. Warmth keeps the blood vessels open. Warm muscles stay relaxed. Relaxed muscles respond better to subtle shifts in posture. Movement becomes more instinctive, less deliberate. And the key word here is instinctive. Once movement requires thought, permission, or inconvenience, the body stops doing it often enough. Then there is the matter of seat pitch, the distance between your seat and the seat in front of you. It is not just about legroom. It is about the angle of the knee, the position of the hips, the tilt of the pelvis, and the shape of the lower back against the seat. The tighter that angle, the harder the blood must work to return upward through the veins. If the legs cannot extend even a few inches beyond the position the seat forces them into, blood flow slows. And once blood flow slows in the lower limbs, the body must work harder to restore it. Something that becomes more challenging after 40 and older, when circulation efficiency naturally shifts. Hydration also plays a role. The cabin's dryness pulls moisture from the body, steadily and silently. When hydration decreases, the blood becomes slightly more viscous, not dramatically, not dangerously, but enough that circulation responds differently. Enough that swelling in the feet and ankles becomes more noticeable. Enough that pressure behind the knee feels slightly more intense. Enough that stiffness stays longer after the flight is over. Then there is vibration, one of the quietest but most influential forces on long-haul flights. The center of the aircraft, particularly near the wings, tends to be the most stable. The back of the aircraft flexes more as the tail makes constant, subtle adjustments to stabilize the plane. That movement is not obvious to the eye, but the body notices. The lower back, hips, and deep core muscles engage unconsciously to maintain posture. Over time, this engagement becomes fatigue, stiffness, or soreness. This is why the seat you choose matters. Not because some areas are inherently bad, but because each seat location changes how your body navigates time. And time is the real factor here. You do not feel these effects in minutes. You feel them in hours. And when we are 40 and older, the body does not simply forget those hours the moment the plane lands. It remembers. It carries the imprint of stillness, vibration, hydration loss, and posture into the next day, sometimes into the next week. Many people blame these sensations on age, but the truth is more precise. The body is not failing. The environment is simply not designed for how the body at 40 and older functions best. The environment asks the body to be still in a position that restricts movement and circulation. Age only makes the consequences more noticeable. This is why the aisle seat becomes something more than a preference. It is freedom of movement without negotiation. The ability to extend the legs slightly without disturbing anyone. The ability to stand when the body asks, not when the row allows. Movement becomes natural instead of planned. And natural movement prevents the quiet accumulation of discomfort that only reveals itself when the flight is over. The window seat, while peaceful, encourages staying still longer than the body wants to. The back of the cabin encourages the muscles to work harder than the traveler realizes. Bulkhead seats limit leg positioning, forcing a rigid posture the body tolerates only for so long. Exit row seats can offer space, but they are often colder and require the legs to rest in a slightly lifted position, which is not always ideal for circulation. None of these seats are inherently bad, but each one asks something different of the body. And the body, especially at 40 and older, responds clearly when we pay attention. The goal is not to avoid travel. The goal is to understand the environment we are placing our bodies into, and to choose the position that allows the body to move naturally. Movement is not about exercise. It is about keeping the blood flowing, the spine aligned, the muscles warm, and the arrival comfortable rather than strained. The seat is not simply where we sit, it is the environment our body must adapt to, for hours at a time. And the effect of that environment lasts long after the plane lands. The most seasoned travelers do not fly differently because they are cautious. They fly differently because they are aware. They have learned, often through experience, that the body remembers every hour spent in stillness at altitude. And once that lesson is learned, it is not forgotten. The choices become subtle, almost invisible to others, but they make all the difference in how one arrives. For travelers 40 and older, the most powerful shift is recognizing that comfort is not indulgence, but maintenance. Convenience is not luxury, but preparation. And seat choice is not about preference. It is about how the body moves without needing permission. This is why the aisle seat becomes the choice of those who fly often and arrive well. It is not about quick access to the restroom or the ability to stand first when the plane lands. It is about the freedom to stretch the leg slightly into the aisle without drawing attention. The ability to stand when the body asks to stand. The freedom to turn the hips, loosen the back, roll the ankles, place weight differently. Movement becomes unremarkable, almost thoughtless. When movement is natural, circulation continues. When circulation continues, swelling does not take root. When swelling does not take root, the body does not leave the flight feeling like it has aged during the journey. Hydration also shifts from something occasional to something constant. Experienced travelers drink water at a slow, steady rhythm throughout the flight, rather than in large amounts at once. A few sips every half hour, a refill during a stretch break. Hydration becomes part of movement, not separate from it. The body stays supple. The muscles stay responsive. The blood moves more easily. Clothing becomes part of travel strategy as well. Not formal compression garments, though those have their place, but soft fabrics, gentle waistbands, layers that can be added or removed easily as the cabin temperature changes, clothing that allows the body to shift without restriction. For travelers 40 and older, the body does not want tightness. It wants room to exist. Even the timing of rest changes. Sleeping on a flight becomes something approached with intention. The seat reclined just slightly, not aggressively. The head supported so the neck does not strain. The legs arranged with space, not tension. The traveler who sleeps well on flights does not sleep hard. They sleep in waves, lightly, allowing the body to reposition without waking fully. And perhaps most importantly, seasoned travelers choose seats not based on habit, but based on the needs of the body they are flying with now, not the body they flew with 20 years ago. They recognize that the flight is not simply a means of getting somewhere, it is part of the experience. It shapes how the arrival feels. It shapes whether the first day of a trip is spent recovering or living. A flight can either take energy or it can preserve it. The difference is not the plane, the airline, or the length of the journey. The difference is the seat that allows the body to move. Comfort is not about luxury. Comfort is preparation for what happens next. The traveler in row 42 did not collapse. There was no dramatic emergency. They landed, walked, recovered, continued with life. But the moment on that flight did something important. It changed the way they chose their seat forever. The realization was quiet, but permanent. How you sit in the air shapes how you feel on the ground. Flying when you are 40 and older is not about resisting age. It is about respecting what the body tells you. The stiffness you feel when you stand after a long flight is not a sign of decline, it is a sign of stillness in an environment the body was never meant to be still in for so long. Next time you board, look down the row of seats and remember that you are not choosing where you will spend a few hours. You are choosing the space in which your body will work, rest, adjust, maintain itself, and endure time. Choose the seat that lets that happen naturally. Choose the seat that respects the life you've lived in your body so far. You are not just traveling to a destination, you are traveling with yourself, and how you care for yourself in the air shapes how fully you can live once you arrive. If this opened your eyes, stay close. Because in the next video, we're exploring what airlines quietly removed from your ticket price, and how that change affects the experience of every traveler who steps on board.